Assalamu alaikum everyone. I will be discussing the bony features of mandible. It's a bone, it is the main bone that forms your lower jaw. First of all, you have body. This long part is the body. Then angle of mandible, this part, and ramus. This is the ramus. Okay. So the body of the mandible from both sides joins together in the center after ossification, and this form and after the ossification the joining of both sides forms a protuberance known as the mental protuberance. It can't really be seen on camera that well, but you can easily feel it. Okay, so then lateral to the mental protuberance you have two small elevations known as mental tubercles, also better felt than seen. So if you move laterally on both sides, you will be able to see these foramina. So this part, this foramina on the lateral side of the body, this is known as mental foramen. This is close to the chin. By the way, the mental protuberance is what forms your chin. So lateral to the mental protuberance, you have the mental foramen. Then you have alveolar processes of mandible, and these elevations, these are between two teeth sockets. These are known as interalveolar septa. Interalveolar septa, and this is the molar of the mandible. This is mandibular molar. Okay. So if we further move towards the lateral side, you can see the angle of mandible and ramus. And this is the mandibular notch between the two processes, coronoid and mandibular. So the oblique line, so the coronoid process has an anterior border that runs along the posterior part of the body of mandible. This is known as oblique line. This is the oblique line. You can clearly see it, oblique line. The condylar process of the mandibular ramus has three parts. The upper dilated part or circular part known as the head of mandible, the middle constricted part that is known as the neck of mandible, and if we move the mandible to the inside, you can see this depression. This is known as pterygoid fovea. Pterygoid fovea. Head of the mandible, neck, this constricted part, and pterygoid fovea. So we've already discussed the outer surface of the mandible. Now we will be discussing. Okay. So this is the coronoid process from the inner surface, and this is the condylar process from the inner side. Oh, when we look at this line, so this was the one from the outer surface forming the oblique line, and from the inner surface you can see this structure along the anterior side of coronoid process. This is known as pterygomandibular raphe, because so many important muscles attached to this structure, pterygomandibular raphe. Okay, so from the inner side we have this structure known as the mandibular foramen. You can clearly see this foramen from this angle, mandibular foramen, and this part of the bone that is present immediately lateral to the mandibular foramen. So this is your mandibular foramen, and this part that is around it is this part of the mandibular bone that is around it. It is known as linguala. Then again from the inner side, condylar process. coronoid process. Then this is the mandibular foramen surrounded by lingula. Okay. So as you can clearly see, you have this line on the inner surface of the mandible. This is known as mylohyoid line. This provides attachment to the mylohyoid muscle. We have three important foci when it comes to the mandibular bone. First of all, immediately above the mylohyoid line, we have sublingual fossa. And immediately below the mylohyoid line, we have submandibular fossa. And between the two parts of the mandibular or the center of the mandibular at the lower margin, we have the digastric fossa for the attachment of anterior belly of digastric muscle. Immediately, this is the digastric fossa. Immediately superior to the digastric muscle, we have the genial tubercles or mental spines. This is the genial tubercles. If you found this video helpful, please share and subscribe. Thank you.